Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the first day of your weekend for our daily English news edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of today's top news stories as prepared by the Ora News journalist team. The head of the American Chamber of Commerce, Mark Crawford, reacted today to the statements of Prime Minister Edi Rama, which he made yesterday in the National Economic Council. Mr. Rama publicly criticized Crawford's attitude on the government operation against informality. He said, "I regret that I do not see a representative of the American Chamber of Commerce to tell them that before making any statements against this operation, they should tell the Albanians what happens in the U.S. when someone is caught evading taxes or not issuing sales receipts. After this, let them show us what to do better," said Rama. Contacted on the telephone by Ora News today, the head of the American Chamber of Commerce in Albania, Mark Crawford, made the following clarification. "We are not against the anti-informality initiative of the government. If it has positive results, that would be better for the government. We were not invited to yesterday's meeting of the National Economic Council, and we have already given our stance on the anti-informality initiative. In America, there are different fiscal policies for every state. No one is imprisoned for not issuing a sales receipt. There are cases in which sales receipts are not issued at all because transactions are carried out through the bank. We have a board meeting on Thursday, and we can come up with a statement." The American Chamber of Commerce has made some critical statements about the way that the government is conducting its operation against informality. They have said that businesses are being repressed by the harsh penalties, which puts them at risk of bankruptcy. The representatives of the business sector have asked the government to discuss the difficult business climate in Albania and to carefully analyze the economic situation. According to the private entrepreneurs, it has become difficult to invest in Albania. The government's operation against informality is considered by some to be repressive, and the private entrepreneurs are losing their trust in the economy, as revealed by a recent survey conducted by the Bank of Albania. The chairman of the British Chamber of Commerce had this to say, "At this moment, the business climate is not favorable, and there are serious problems for foreign investors. The judicial system and the system of doing business in Albania have always been contested." The head of the Union of Chambers of Commerce, Ilir Zila, also commented, "The government must make a real analysis because we have been in crisis for years. They must make an analysis of the way that they have proceeded so far and open a real discussion of the problems the business sector is facing," he said. Further decline in the business climate would risk not only the trust of foreign investors in the Albanian market, but also the reduction of Albanian capital abroad, which would have serious consequences for the economy in this difficult time. In the framework of his tour, The Time for the Citizens to Speak, the Democratic chairman Lulzim Basha met today with the industrial traders of Durrës. The traders complained that even though they are regular taxpayers, they face high taxes, inappropriate conditions, and the lack of purchasing power. Mr. Basha presented the Democratic Party proposals to them, saying that if the Democrats are elected back into power, the traders will only have to pay a 0.5% annual income tax and that the flat rate tax will be reduced down to 9%. He promised the traders that the Democratic councillors in Durrës will not allow the city council to hold meetings until the taxes have been reduced. Mr. Basha said, "We will reduce the property tax, but until that day, the Democratic Party councillors will not allow the city council to hold any normal meetings unless they reduce the property tax by 30%. Basha was accompanied today by the local leaders of the Democratic Party, the MPs of the city, and the former Democratic candidate for Durrës, Grida Duma. Today, the Venice Commission reviewed the draft of constitutional changes proposed by the Albanian Commission on Justice Reform. Reporters from the Venice Commission are expected to come to Tirana on November 2nd and 3rd to discuss the justice reform. Ora News has obtained a copy of the response that the Commission addressed to the Democratic Party. It reads, "It will be important for us to have a direct dialogue with the experts of the Democratic Party. On November 2nd and 3rd, the reporters of the Venice Commission will be in Tirana, and we look forward to discussion with the Democratic experts on that occasion. There will be no substantial discussion at this meeting, but only a presentation of the draft in general terms. The December session is the most important when the draft opinion of the Venice Commission will be discussed, reads the letter. Meanwhile, the Venice Commission discussed the draft of the high-level experts from the Commission on Justice Reform today. The Kosovo President Atifete Yahyaga has expressed her concern and regret about the recent political developments in Kosovo, inside and outside the parliament. The opposition in Kosovo is rejecting the agreements of the government with Serbia and Montenegro and demanding that they be repealed. The opposition MPs have used tear gas to stop the assembly meeting 3 times now, while hundreds of supporters protested outside of the parliament. The Kosovo President Yahyaga said, "I am deeply concerned, and I want to express my regret for the latest developments inside and outside the Assembly of Kosovo. Violent actions in Parliament are unacceptable and punishable. The tools that have been used are in complete rejection of the basic principles of a democratic order and a parliamentarian democracy." Yahyaga then made an appeal to the opposition to turn aside from violent tactics. She said, "The aspirations of our country are being put at risk by these events, and these actions are damaging the democracy that we have barely built. I appeal to the entire political spectrum to return to normality, and I encourage the institutions to continue their work, as we have a lot of challenges ahead. The citizens have elected us, and they expect us to be an example of the rule of law and the respect of democratic process. Dialogue is the foundation of democracy. There are solutions where there is dialogue," said the president. The head of the Alliance for the Future of Kosovo, Ramush Haradinaj, stated that the opposition will not withdraw from its stance until the agreements are repealed. He demanded the resignation of the Prime Minister of Kosovo, saying that the opposition requests are not being considered. After a reported request by the Socialist Party coordinator Koço Kokodima, the party has allegedly been considering whether or not to postpone their Congress in January. Now it seems that the proposal did not find enough support, and the Congress will be held as scheduled. This was confirmed after Prime Minister Rama met with his party coordinators today for about 3 hours. After the meeting, Prime Minister Rama did not comment on the issue, and Kokodima himself stated that it was only a rumor. The 6 coordinators of the Socialist Party work group for the elections of 2017 reported on the work that has been done so far to the Prime Minister and to the head of the parliamentary group, Gramoz Ruçi. Thanks for choosing Ora News as your source for English updates. Please have a great weekend and join us again on Monday for more translated news in English. Thanks, and have a great night.